This just in with major headlines like Stellantis to lay off 400 workers in the Detroit plant. What's Nissan's game plan to stay in the game after 9,000 workers get laid off and the CEO takes a major pay cut? The Toledo Jeep plant is preparing for 1,000 layoffs. Volkswagen targets layoffs and a 10% pay cut amidst the German plant shutdowns. And it doesn't just end with the car manufacturers, but even the suppliers providing parts for a lot of these manufacturers, like thousands of jobs getting turfed at Schaeffler, which is a car manufacturing supplier for a lot of the German brands. Northvolt announces 1,600 layoffs in Sweden. And Webasto is about to lay off 218 workers in Detroit. The market is in a final crisis mode. We're seeing quality control issues everywhere. Car manufacturers like Toyota were struggling with a lot of recalls, engine failures. 2022, 2023 model years absolutely collapsing. And the latest word by Honda, they've expanded the recall list for that 3.5 liter catastrophic engine failure that they've been experiencing. And even with the feds recently dropping the interest rates, buyers often said, as soon as interest rates drop, I'm buying a new car. Well, guess what? The rates are dropping and people aren't buying new cars. Inventory continues to climb. Just look online and you'll see Rams, brand new Rams across the nation, as many as 39,250 units available across the nation that are brand new to choose from. Clearly nobody's buying these vehicles. And of those Rams not selling, about 383 of those units across the nation are at least 2 years of age or older, but they're still brand new. That's right, we're talking about 2023, 2022s scattered and strewn about the industry. They can't sell them. They haven't incentivized enough to get people to buy them. But guess what? Lot rot. Now watch these vehicles start to dissipate, start to disintegrate. Batteries, corrosion, rust, rodents, tires getting flat spots. All of these vehicles are deteriorating at an alarming rate. Nobody's buying them. And this inventory of old 2 and 3 year old vehicles, and that list seems to be expanding every single day. There's also 255 Jeep Wranglers currently in the market available that are almost 2 years or older. And brand new Ford Bronco Raptors are not selling. When they first came out, they were the hit of the market. But clearly when times get tough, as we're starting to see during this cost of living crisis, people start making a decision, the nice to haves and the need to haves. The nice to haves are food, a roof over your head, healthy families. The nice to haves are those nice toys. A Raptor, nobody needs a Bronco Raptor, and it's starting to show. 509 brand new Ford Bronco Raptors scattered across the nation are clear indications nobody's buying them. They're highly priced, and other than the fancy fender flares, they're generally not much more than you're getting with a regular Bronco. And we know one of the worst selling brands, Stellantis, and we know one of the worst selling car manufacturers is Stellantis. And within Stellantis, one of the worst selling brands, specifically we're talking about Dodge. Now the worry of Stellantis is that all these new models may not actually sell. And if they don't sell, what that means is more discounts, more cuts, more slices, and more incentives. More incentives means slicing off the bottom line, and as well stock prices further to hinder. And models like this beautiful little black Durango carrying the Hemi engine. Of course, Dodge only has the Challenger Charger, the Durango, as well as a Hornet. But the Hornet has absolutely brutal sales. Brand new across the nation, there's as many as 1,275. That's right, they're not selling. Nobody wants them. They're overpriced. And if you want that vehicle and you like the platform, most people just go with Alfa Romeo Tonale, and those are actually selling slightly better. But the Dodge Hornets, not selling. A clear indication that the price is off kilter. People don't have the money, and the cost of living crisis is eating us all alive. And the Hornets, like we see here, we already said, not selling well. They were literally the worst selling vehicle in the automotive sector up until about a few weeks ago, where now the Jaguar I-Pace has outdone this, but still, these are not selling. Only about 1,283 of these have actually sold in the last 45 days, and there's 550 days supply on these little Hornets. So you have choices of white, you can get into a beautiful blue vehicle. How about the grays? All kinds of greatness here. You're not fooling a lot of people, because a lot of people know this is the Alfa Romeo Tonale dressed in a reskin. And of course, a lot of people recognize or appreciate or associate the lower quality and the issues with reliability to vehicles like Alfa Romeo. Whether they're problematic or not, there's a bit of a reputation. And now the Dodge Hornet, which is essentially the same vehicle, is carrying that same burden of unreliability. Whether it's bad or not, Time will tell because it's a newer model, but that certainly doesn't help its cause. And you know things are getting really rough. When car brands, we know that Toyota was delivering on demand. You'd walk in, you'd throw your money on the table, and they tell you have to wait for 3 months, 6 months, 8, 12 months. For hybrids, sometimes in some cases like the Primes, you had to wait 1.5 to 2 years to get some of those vehicles. That was merely 2 years ago. Boy, have things changed. And would you believe it? Looking online in my search results here, I'm finding 3,246 brand new Toyota Tundras available for sale across the nation. That's right, brand new. There's over 3,000 available. Even Toyota has finally outdone Stellantis. Nobody's buying the Tundra. It doesn't live up to the name and the reputation of Toyota. The quality control with all of the engine issues that have been such a controversy that has sadly made a huge impact. And nobody's buying the new Tundra. You're looking at lots filling up with these Tundras. They're all over the place, and these dealers are not able to unload any of these Tundras. They're clearly lot rots setting up there as well, and we never thought we'd see the day when Toyotas aren't selling. But it's happening, and it's now. It's clear that crisis mode is finally hit us. The car market is collapsing. And while yes, there are sales and every car manufacturer and government official is going to tell you that things are rosy and great, that's literally only to stimulate the economy. When you start peeling away the layers of the onions, you start realizing, wait a minute, there's more problems here than meets the eye. With quality control issues, we're seeing it all over the industry, from brands particularly where we've gained trust for throughout the years, like Toyotas and Hondas, are struggling with reliability challenges. Brands like Nissan are losing major market share to a lot of the Chinese manufacturers because where they do business overseas in Asia, that usually represents 30 to 40% of their market. And even Ford has found that that's very strict competition with Chinese manufactured vehicles like the BYDs just as a futile experience. China is more cost effective and they're undercutting every piece of competition that tries to slide in the back door. Nissan's finding out the hard way. Ford's finding out the hard way, and every other brand is only protected right now by the chicken tax in North America. As soon as that removes, as soon as tariffs start sliding off to the side, look out. All these manufacturers are in for a world of hurt. But now what are we seeing? CEOs of all these companies, Stellantis in hot water, Nissan CEO under hot water, Ford CEO in hot water, GM, they're holding their own, but it's clear that every single one of these top leaders of every one of these car organizations is under heavy scrutiny to manufacture a vehicle that's affordable. And in many cases, each and every one of these CEOs is having to consider pay cuts. Managers are taking pay cuts, like we're starting to hear. The CEO of Ford is actually directing that the performance management metrics are going to take a toll. And now there's going to be many pay cuts across the board. So these deep cuts are going beyond just cutting prices on cars, incentives on their vehicles. They're now taking a major cut out of their management, out of their frontline staff, out of their construction manufacturing workers with massive layoffs, with plants closing. Just look at Volkswagen. They're looking at closing at least 3 plants and tens of thousands of workers are taking walking papers. Things are clearly catastrophically failing across the industry. Sales are down everywhere. And while some are going to argue the EV market is slowly growing and they're picking up the market share from where the ICEs are failing, that's simply not true. Sure, while there is a natural growth inherently with increased population and this transition to as vehicles age, people are always going to buy cars. Cars are consumable. It's like cell phones, it's like food, but people are just not buying at the rate that they once did. Another huge issue that a lot of people aren't talking about are used cars. Now, a lot of the late model used cars are going for premium dollars, and they have been the last couple of years due to the shortages. But now a lot of those quality late model used cars are simply not selling either. I've been walking car lots recently, looking at what sort of inventory is laying around, and a lot of these popular late model vehicles, I'm looking at Broncos, I see many Toyotas, Hondas, and vehicles that were almost impossible to find are starting to build up on these used car lots. Nobody's buying them. Number one, because they can't afford it, and these high prices have driven these prices, or the strong demand and low availability about 2 years ago made them hard to come by. But now what we're finding is it's switched cold turkey. We've gone totally the other way, where a lot of these vehicles are still at a premium. These dealers and vendors are still trying to unload them for what they believe is fair market value, but nobody's buying them because interest rates are still relatively high, and that's the flip of the coin. See, back in 2022, as we rolled into the tail end of 22, we saw less and less people borrowing money, taking finance, taking leases on a lot of these vehicles. And in doing so, now what you're going to find is the trickle effect. We're finding less inventory, and the ones that we do find are charged extraordinarily high. More people are electing just to continue fixing the old junk that they had, less lease returns coming back to market. Yes, there's been a market decrease in that. We're seeing a lot less people back in 22 as we rolled into 23 taking out leases because of the high interest rates. People were reluctant. Again, fixing what they had, deferring. The transition as well to buying smaller cars seemed to be taking place. The sales of full-size SUVs, mid-size SUVs, luxury vehicles are starting to drop. Sure, full-size trucks have always had a popular place in the market, but even those year over year are slightly sliding. And everything that represents luxury or smells like a luxury car are going away. Their sales are dropping, and people are making a choice to buy cheaper, less costly vehicles. But conversely, these dealers and these manufacturers and OEMs are slowing production and eliminating all of those cheap vehicles. You really can't find a vehicle anymore for under $20,000 brand new. So that's leaving the consumer in a pinch. They don't have the money for that $80,000, $40,000, $35,000 vehicle, and all they have is maybe 20, 25 grand to spend. They can't find a quality late model used. The new prices are starting to push up higher. The car industry is clearly in a crisis. Right now, it doesn't matter whether you walk down car lots. I'm looking at trucks here, lots and lots of Rams. Specifically, the 2500, the 3500s are not selling. Neither of a lot of the Jeeps either. They keep piling up, and it doesn't matter which manufacturer. I jump over to Ford, I see big, extensive inventory piling up on the lots, and as well as I see the same problem over at Chevy. Vehicles are not selling. Cars, SUVs, not selling all that well unless they provide extreme value, which a lot of these high prices now no longer show the value that they once did, because a few short years ago, people saw value in buying a full-size diesel pickup truck like this that would literally go for 50 or 60 grand. And now we have a Cummins diesel 3500 HD. It's an absolute gorgeous truck. But, you know, sure, it's got sunroof, it's got leather interior, but when we look on this, is a Laramie Crew Night 4x4, and it's got the diesel, and it's $114,000. Prices are getting out of hand. This isn't even the dually, this is the single rear-wheel drive vehicle. And with the average transaction price still up around that $47,000, do you believe that we're starting to see more and more people take on car loans that are over $1,000? That's right, about 8 or 9% of the car loans in the US are over $1,000 a month, the average being around $750 a month. Here in Canada, I would say we're probably up in that 50-60% of the car loans are well over $1,000. And I know numerous people that are spending $1,500 to $1,800 a month paying for that new truck or SUV. Things are out of control. Why do you think repossessions are taking a toll? The repo man, they don't have enough tow trucks to pick up all the vehicles that are getting repossessed. Yeah, a lot of people are getting under hot water. They're definitely getting flooded by these car payments. 84-month terms, 7-year terms are too much. Something happens, health conditions, health scare, somebody loses their job, and you wave bye-bye, and they watch as the repo man is backing into your driveway, taking away your new Ford electric vehicle. This is what's going on, and everything's increasing. The worse is getting up, and the better is going down. In other words, more repossessions, higher costs, more people unemployed. The downside, sales. Of course, wages are going down, less employment opportunities. Everything that you don't want happening is happening right now in the car market. And for those that are trying to buy a new vehicle and just need something cost-effective and simple, forget it. Because unfortunately, the masses have spoken, and they've said that about 80-90% of the people votes towards what they're actually looking for. They want latest technology, big screens, safety features, safety nannies. They like automatic transmissions, power, everything. But then there's that small part of the population that just wants simple, cheap, and effective. That's why vehicles like the Maverick have done so well in base trim, particularly the XL trim, where initially you were supposed to be able to get in at 25. Oh, look over here. We have a whole lineup of new trucks. Here we have, this is FX4, F-150 XLT, but scroll around here and look, we have a few of these more affordable vehicles.
Now these little Mavericks were designed to fill a gap that people couldn't afford these full-size pickup trucks anymore. Those F-150s, the F-Series trucks were becoming too unaffordable for a lot of people. And a lot of people are saying, let them rot. I can't afford it anyway. Who cares? And that's been the general consensus. While some people are buying them, there's many others that are just saying, forget it, let it rot. I don't have the money. But here was Ford's answer. Here we have an XLT, and this is a Maverick, very basic.
The sad part is, Ford's even realized with the increasing popularity in the Maverick, they've crept those prices up. And so you thought you'd be too smart for the market? Too cool for school? Yeah, right. Think again, because even Ford's been notching their prices up, even on the Maverick. Have you seen the prices of a brand new Maverick Lariat version? I've looked on lots here recently. Now you can pay over $50,000 for a late model, fully loaded up Maverick. Where have these prices gone? Is it any wonder this market is collapsing? It's no wonder to me. Hot off the press, somewhat, but you could see it, you could smell it coming, you could hear it. If you put your ears to the train tracks, you could hear that rumble. You could hear that herd of angry rhinoceroses running, or in this case, diesel engines roaring. People don't have the money. People are running out of cash quickly. And sure, while sales are still holding their own, there's all kinds of statistics that show sales are still holding. The reality is the shift from high-priced vehicles to lower-priced vehicles is happening. They're just talking about units. Units sold looks like a rosy picture. But we're not telling the whole story, because the units represent an $80,000 vehicle now going to a $30,000 vehicle. You get the drift? That's what's actually happening. We're seeing it. Nissan profits are down. They gave 99% of their profits away in the first half of 2024, and now they're laying off thousands of workers, and the CEO is going to take a price cut on their wages. Things are clearly not in a good spot. Repossessions are on the rise. Cost of living is destroying everybody. Inventory is rising at an alarming rate. And for those who have the money in hand, it's a great opportunity. I mean, if you have a sizable down payment and you can minimize the duration of a loan period or even pay cash, you're in a really good spot for some amazing buys. The problem is you're paying too much for these vehicles. That's just the bottom line. Even if you have the money, it's hard to come to terms with the sheer cost of these vehicles today. Whoever thought a base Compass by a Jeep was going to cost you $45,000? That in no point ever made sense to anybody. Or a Wrangler plug-in hybrid that's going to cost you $85,000. How can that make any sense? Or a half-ton Ford pickup truck costing $105,000. None of this is making any kind of sense. And somebody brought up this great comment the other day where they said, it's like cell phones, computers, right? As you're getting more advanced technology, the technology becomes cheaper. The phones, the technology, the laptops, think about big screen TVs. Remember, 15 years ago, you had the big widescreen TV, and that could cost you $7,000 or $8,000, $9,000 to get that big 50-inch TV. Well, today they're throwaway. You can get a 50-inch TV now for $299 at Costco. We've seen this. Technology doesn't have to mean that it's more expensive. But these car manufacturers are implying that and inferring that, and now you and I, the customer, while we should be paying less for this new technology, for some reason we're all paying a little bit more. The car market is broken. I definitely want to hear your thoughts down below, everybody. This is such a passionate, hot topic for me, hot button, and definitely one in which is going to continue pushing people further and further in a state of decline.
Just in case you figure I can't afford a new vehicle, hey, check it out right there. That video I just created, it's all about the used car market crash right there. Yes, buyers absolutely win and sellers lose. You definitely want to see that. Hope to see each and every one in the next one. See you real soon. Bye-bye.